All right, so there have been some breaking changes to the Turkish CBI, the Turkey passport program, and a lot of people know about this because the changes have just gone into effect as of yesterday. So I'm going to discuss those towards the end. When you talk about the CBI programs, not a lot of options out there. You have only 10 odd countries that sell CBIs, out of which the Caribbean options, the five or four Caribbean, five Caribbean, Vanuatu, is a non-option for a lot of people for various reasons. So if that's taken out of the equation, then what are you left with? Cambodia is a pretty tricky one, right? Not a lot of people want to get into that because you're donating 85K plus in other fees, which is not making sense for a very poor passport. Jordan is $1 million, so although you're getting a good, stable, beautiful country to live in, not a lot of people are willing to shell out 1 million for that poor passport. Jordanian passport also comes under the poor category because you don't have a lot of travel mobility on the Jordanian passport. And then you're only really left with two options. One is Egypt. Now, Egypt is even in question because they opened up the real estate market to any property within Egypt. So that's somewhat of a plus point for the Egyptian program. Previously, I don't think even a single applicant, very few applicants even looked at it or thought about it. Now more people at least looking at it, right? As per the poll, a lot of people participated in this one. I didn't expect so many people to actually voice their opinions, but over 160 to 170 people interacted as they submitted their opinions, including our advanced members who had a lot of valuable inputs. I'm going to read one particular input regarding the Turkey program from one of our advanced members. I think I agree with him. I wanted to add one more point to his feedback. The poll was really a choice between Egypt, a 300K in property, and then the Turkish property. I don't think that's a good option in my opinion. I just feel you hardly can get any benefits out of it. This is not investment advice. This is my personal feeling about it. So in Turkey, only the 500K in bank deposit option makes sense to me because they have some mechanism in place now. So you don't lose your 500K completely, right? You have some interest that it generates. There's a 6%, 5% first year, second year, and so on, sort of a mechanism in place, which can actually make you some money. So you can actually expect some returns if the lira doesn't go crazy crashing. There's a good chance that might happen, but again, as I said, there's a good chance that you might make some money and still keep a citizenship for it. So when you compare Turkey to Egypt, hands down, each time Turkey wins, absolutely wins, and the ratio is 20% or less than 20% to more than 80%. So Turkey wins for more than 80% of the times when you compare these two options. But that is just because you only have two options to pick from. A lot of people are confused. Some people are confused. Should they do Turkey? Is it good? Is there value in Turkey? A lot of Westerners completely discard that one. They're like, hey, no Turkey business. Some reasons why they feel like that. And I'm going to discuss those reasons. And some people who are not Westerners, maybe they're from Philippines or maybe they're from countries with poor passport in South Asia region. So those are the kind of people who might want to get a citizenship because they're excited to get some citizenship. If Caribbean is not an option, then what is? Egypt doesn't look like a great deal. Jordan is unaffordable. Cambodia no one knows about. So let's go and do Turkey because that's causing the most buzz. But they're confused. Now they're stuck. Should we do Turkey? Should we not do Turkey? So let me read one particular comment, which is particularly very interesting, very true in my opinion. And it's in response to Crypto Nerd. You can read his comment in as part of that community poll, right? But David Russo responds to him and says that from a Western perspective, trying to see the use case for these programs other than some generic be diversified. I mean, I'm sure Istanbul is cool and Egypt has nice parts, but hyperinflation, Arab Spring, Ukraine, refugees, drought seems like a part of the world that always has problems, even the earthquake, right? And highly doubtful I could learn Turkish or Arabic. So that's the other important thing here because if you're, let's say you're surviving on English, good luck to you, right? It's not that, I mean, a lot of people do speak English, but a lot of people don't speak English in Turkey, so that could be an issue. You would have to learn some Turkish language. Not everyone is up for it. Even if this was 100K, I would pause. So that's what he says. And then one thing I would like to particularly add over here is the opportunity cost and the hassle of moving monies out of a FATF gray listed jurisdiction could be a pain. Now, people put in the monies in Turkey. Now, that is fine. You're able to send your monies into it. But there have been some reports, unconfirmed reports, of when you're trying to remove the money from an FATF gray listed jurisdiction and trying to move that into, let's say, EU or your Western nation or a non FATF gray listed jurisdiction, they might want to keep a close eye on what is going on. Banks might not want to deal with you. It all depends at that point in time what happens. So people have been in these unconfirmed reports, but people have been trying to carry those cash monies in various ways, and they have been facing some difficulty. So that is something you got to keep a tab on. Now, as promised, let me come to those important couple of changes to the Turkish CBI program went in effect yesterday. And these are procedural changes, but I think these are big changes. The Turkey program was known to not have a criminal background check, which made it faster for a lot of people because they might have residencies, they might have lived in multiple places. So how could you get so many police reports, and the time it takes to obtaining them, some of them might expire. But now guess what? Turkey has introduced, they request you to get the police reports from your country. So this is going to add a lot of and it's going to be time consuming to get all of these documents. If you're starting Turkey, let's say today, then you got to get those police reports from your home country or the country of your residencies. So that's the first change. The second big change is you got to physically go and apply for residency permit in Turkey, right? Once you get the residency permit, then you physically have to go and apply for your citizenship. A big inconvenience to a lot of people. And before, only the main applicant could do it. But now, guess what? Your dependent, your spouse, has to be there physically with you if she wants that citizenship as well. So these are procedural changes that Turkey has introduced. There's the other rumor that it might bump up to 600K. Believe me, if no one is buying the 400K property at this point, why are they going to change it to 600K? Who is going to buy that, right? So that's the big question. So are they serious about it? If they make that change, I think it'll be the death of the program, in my opinion. I hope it's a rumor. They're not going to change that. They keep it 400 and it still goes on. But, and overall, like, what's my assessment? Is Turkey good option? Is it not a good option? I feel it would have been a good option. It was a great option at 250K in property back then when it was not on the FATF gray list. But now, if you're planning to move your 500K, let's say you're from Philippines, right? Or if you're from Dubai, it doesn't matter. Or you're from Pakistan, it doesn't matter. It's a good option because you are on the FATF gray list anyways, and then you're going to an FATF gray listed country. So that back and forth might work. It might not be a hassle, inconvenience. But if you're a Westerner, if you're coming from a country that's not a Muslim nation, and particularly they are scrutinizing FATF gray listed countries, then you might have a lot of headaches. Not initially, but once you try to withdraw those funds. If you're up for any games, Turkey is becoming very, very strict. It's not as easy as before. Now it could be a box of worms that you might open up if you're up to some games. If you're clear and clean and crystal clear, then it might be okay. But you got to make sure that you are up for, you know what you're signing up for. Overall verdict, good for someone who is from that part of the world. Maybe an issue or slightly problematic if you are from certain countries, especially from the Western region. As our advanced members were discussing, I think they clearly didn't look like in favor of it. I personally feel it's not the best program out there. Again, depends upon your use case. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. To stay on top of any breakthroughs, any updates, make sure you're subscribed to this channel so you don't miss out on anything. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video and catch you in the next one.